will never say I'm sorry, I ain't taking nothing back. I don't care if I offend you, I was put here to upset you. The world is full of clowns, they're all stupid and they're proud, painted smiles on their mouths. I don't hang with bozos, homie, I can't be around.
I accidentally played the outro.
Yeah, you queued the wrong one there, bro.
Yeah, it said Breaking Rocks, so.
Yeah, you gotta label them differently, bro. Because that was the outro. Oh, God.
Well, there's no mistaking this one, though. Hey, everybody. I am.
We love our home, and if you don't, pack your bags, you're free to go. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord split you. Wave goodbye to Joe.
And hopefully I don't get banned off YouTube for that. Like,
Yeah.
Mom getting timed out on Twitter for kind of saying that, which is the main topic for today. Hello, everyone. I'm Drew Dad Underground. This is my good brother, Desert Lord. Hey, bro.
Hey there.
And, X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it today, isn't as pro-free speech as you think it is, folks. Bro?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, what I was going to say about that, though, is that what you can't do on X, just like everybody else, you can't wish harm on anybody. And what it ends up being is it's all dependent on whether somebody goes bitching to the censors about what you said.
Even though someone that Desert and I both know didn't exactly do that. She was simply commenting on celebrities leaving the United States, and all she said was, let the big door hit you where the good Lord split you.
No,
all she said.
No, I know, but see, in the line in the song that we just played here, it says don't let the door hit you on the way out. I know that. Whereas what you said, Mom said, was please let the door hit them on the way out. Okay, so the difference between those two lines is Tom McDonald is saying don't let the door hit you, whereas what you said, Mom said, was please let the door hit you. I want the door to hit you. So it's wishing harm versus not wishing harm.
But that is completely different than talking about you have an itchy trigger finger. That's a completely different fucking story.
But is it fucking pathetic? Of course it's fucking pathetic. It's stupid.
Yeah.
For that to be a reason to get, banned or whatever.
Well, it's not permanently banned. It's timed out.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But at first it was like for a couple hours. Then it turned into a week. Now it was just for a day. Somebody at Twitter is jerking somebody around here.
Yeah, well, again, it's all about apparently whoever saw that went, oh my God, I'm reporting that. Oh my God, and then, Twitter mods were like, fine.
Yeah, I am not blaming Elon Musk for it. I'm blaming his employees. But I am laying this at the foot of Elon Musk going, well.
It's just very silly, and it's just probably a good policy to, try to avoid wishing harm on anyone online, because even if it's like one of these ingest things, because somebody absolutely will take advantage of it. If they see a comment that they don't like, they go, they go running to the censor.
Yep.
So, I mean, and what Elon has done with his site is he has put in a lot of sort of algorithmic auto flaggings for certain statements and certain ways of wording things.
Yeah.
If somebody uses a slur, or if somebody uses a basically exclamation marks with a statement, or all caps, a lot of those types of behaviors are going to get your comment automatically flagged and put down and either put into the censored category so that everybody has to click to see it, or straight up gonna get you a short-term ban for, pressing
Yeah.
send on that comment.
Now, I get, on one hand, you're not supposed to, as what you're saying, bro, advocate for violence against somebody. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when it's somebody simply saying, let the door hit you on the way out, that's not advocating for violence. That's just.
Well, it's wishing harm is what it is. If you're talking about, I hope the door hits you. That's wishing harm.
But you understand what I'm saying? There's a big difference between getting hit by a door and someone going, I don't like you and I got an itchy trigger finger. Completely different fucking story, right?
Well, see, you have to read into one of those a little more and then the other one. But again, this is why freedom of speech absolutism it has to be absolute, or it can't be called absolute at all, because if it's not absolute, it isn't.
So the fact that the platform owner, Elon Musk, is referred to as a free speech absolutist, well, with this, I have my doubts now.
Well, he is. It's just that he's not spending all day moderating comments. He has a team for that, and he has an algorithm set for that. And so a lot of what's happening there isn't even really Elon doing it. If it were Elon, he'd be like, yeah, that's harmless. Why is it getting censored?
Then Elon has to look at the algorithm and do something. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, compare that to what it used to be, though. I mean,
yeah,
we can't be
one degree better.
Oh my God, your thing isn't perfect. Fuck you. I'm done with your website. Like, you can't be like that, because if you're like that, then you'll never like anything ever anywhere. You'll hate everything everywhere. You'll hate everyone. And that's the way to live.
I'm not saying that or doing that. I'm just saying that I have an eye looking at the platform cautiously, is what I'm saying.
Well, I can tell you it's pretty easy to avoid getting flagged if you actually are wording your statements correctly.
However, what I normally do is I just share people's fucking shit out on Twitter. That's all I do.
I mean, I've been on Twitter for years, and I have made comments many times, and
yeah, I've made a lot of comments.
I've never been flagged by anyone for anything.
Neither have I.
So
I'm just
saying. And that's
saying.
not because I don't make good points or that I don't touch topics that are spicy. It's not because of that. It's just because, I understand what X's rules are, and I understand, where the line is.
As a segue,
like, I can't just jump in there and say, I wish all you people would die of poisoning. It's like, obviously that's going to get me fucking flagged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or basically wishing anything negative on other people is going to get you flagged. So, it just is what it is.
But in speaking of double standards, the NFL, Nick Bosa, MAGA hat controversy. NFL deliberately delayed Nick Bosa MAGA hat fine until after the election, according to report, bro.
Yeah, this was clearly a case of the woke fuck sticks up at the top of the NFL having a problem with a guy being MAGA openly, because they didn't give a shit when it's BLM. They didn't give a shit when it was kneeling. They thought all that shit was fine.
First of all, yeah, they did give a shit about it. They give a shit enough to put it all over the fucking end zone.
Yeah, no, they were not only okay with, they were advocates for that political bias and ban.
And then
they said, "Oh, it's not political." It's like, "Oh, really? It isn't political, huh?" It specifically was political, and they were in favor of it. So,
if it's not political, then neither is this. Or if this is political, then so is that. And fuck you, NFL.
Yeah, my point is they're a bunch of leftists who control the NFL, and they don't like seeing anybody who's a wrong thinker, and they took the opportunity to slap Nick Bosa across the face for daring to wrong think in front of millions.
Which is why, if you look behind me, I took the fucking Cardinals down because fuck the NFL. I'm done with you till Roger Goodell is fucking gone. So,
and this, by the way, this was prior to the election itself. So, what we should also point out is that there were actually quite a rash of cases of NFL attendees and MLB attendees, for that matter, who got harassed essentially one way or another for wearing MAGA hats to events.
yeah. And that constantly happens with Major League Baseball, NBA, and the NFL, that they're not allowed in the games with Trump hats under any circumstances.
And it's things like that that only end up making, the political persuasion in question more stronger. So it's not smart to do this to somebody. It's not smart to punish them for political expression. It's not intelligent to do that.
And hence why, leading up until late last night, the title for this was, because the main title was going to be this until the Twitter thing happened last night, that the NFL hates us. If you voted for Trump, the NFL fucking hates your guts.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you're still watching the NFL then.
Well, there's a list. There's a list of people that the NFL ownership hates.
Yeah.
Hates conservatives. It hates Trump supporters. It hates white people generally, I guess. I mean, it hates, straight men. It hates masculinity, patriarchy. It hates jokes. It hates comedy. It hates basically any political persuasion that isn't its own. And by its own, I mean its hard leftist political philosophy that it has among its leadership. So, any wrong think whatsoever is completely verboten among them. They do not want to see any of that shit. And they absolutely are happy to punish people for disagreement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is the NFL a joke? Yes, of course it is. And it's been a joke for almost 20 years now.
I'm going to want to be on camera for this article. So, with that, this is from the Sporting News, established 1886. So this is an old sports thing. 49ers star Nick Bosa has never been shy about his political beliefs, you don't say. But he erased any remaining doubt when he donned a Make America Great Again hat on the field after San Francisco win over the Cowboys, fucking crushing in Week 8.
Yeah.
Bosa jumped into NBC post-game interview with Brock Purdy, George Kittle, and Isaac Guerrero. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so.
While wearing a white and gold, so a gold MAGA is Nick, Donald Trump campaign hat, advocating for the president-elect.
Yeah.
Less than 2 weeks
again,
before
this happened
the presidential
before the election. So this happened before the election.
I know that, but I'm saying that because we're live after the election, which we'll get into the election results right after this topic.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL has no problem with players holding political opinions. Oh, really? That's news to me. But league rules draw the line regarding where and when political messages can be shared. Right. Bosa earned a fine.
Of course they do.
Bosa earned a fine from the league on Saturday, at the time of the writing of this article anyway. And it came as no surprise to former Defensive Player of the Year. Here's the explanation behind Bosa's fine wearing the Make America Great Again hat. I can't wait to read this. The NFL fined him $11,255 nearly 2 weeks after he wore the white and gold Trump campaign hat on the field during the postgame interview of his teammates. NFL rules state players aren't allowed to display anything related to political activities or causes. then why do you fucking have political fucking statements around the fucking end zone?
Sure, this is actually hypocritical as fuck because actually they
Yes.
do allow it. They do allow it, and they have allowed it. In fact, they've given players a full blown out to do it repeatedly.
As long as it's not for Trump.
As long as it isn't conservative.
Yeah.
It's been completely fine with these people.
On other non-football events, causes and campaigns, or charitable causes or campaigns. So charities are not involved or are not allowed either.
Well, they say that, but that's not true either. They're completely lying about this.
Yes. While in view of a stadium or TV audience. Again, I go back to the BLM shit all over the fucking football field.
They only find him. We already know the answer to this. They only find him because it's conservative, and it was overt, and it was ballsy, and it was in their face, and millions of people watching the game saw it. That's why they find him.
And it was exactly ballsy and in your face as much as what the NFL was doing with all the left-wing shit. So if their shit is fine, so is what Nick did too.
They painted every end zone with BLM. Like, what the fuck?
And put the names of criminals on the back of players' fucking helmets in 2020 and 2021 as well. Don't forget that.
Uh-huh.
So, NFL rules state players on. Oh yeah, I read that part. And then here's Adam Schefter on X. Per NFL Rule 5, Section 4, Article 8 of the NFL Rulebook states, throughout the period of game day, the player is visible on the stadium and television audience, including pregame warm-ups and on the bench and during post-game interviews in the locker room. And he's talking about that they're not allowed to do this stuff throughout that. But the NFL can do everything that they've done when it comes to the left-wing shit. And let's just dissect this photo for a second. The reporter's looking directly at the hat. We can't see her fucking reaction. Brock Purdy looks like he's smiling a little bit. This other Niner, I can't remember his name. He seems like he's indifferent. And George Kittle's like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, George is like, oh boy, situation developing here.
Yeah, because he knows what's happening.
Yeah.
And Brock looks like he's just enjoying his teammate just being there with him. In the case of Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Brock is just enjoying
Nick's
himself.
Nick's a veteran player at this point.
Yes, he is.
You know, and Brock's more in the young guy category.
Yeah, but Brock's just happy to be there, just happy to be around everybody. He doesn't really care.
No, I'm just saying he looks up to guys like Nick, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, I certainly have a lot more respect for Nick Bosa after this than I did before this happened, that's for sure. To the point where he might be my favorite defensive player now.
But so the long and short here is that, like, they just did not want that broadcasted. That's what they did not want.
So
so for him to get away with broadcast, they couldn't let him get away with it because, and you know what it really is? You know what it really is? They got a bunch of phone calls from pissed off leftists. That's what they got. They got a bunch of complaints from people who were like triggered seeing the hat on Nick. That's what it was.
Yeah. So, but here's an important part. Why did the league wait so long to announce the fine? The Athletic report the NFL would take its time with a decision because the matter wasn't an on-field issue. They were standing on a damn football field.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. The real reason.
Can I rant first, please?
Sure.
You claim the NFL rule book says ... But here on this fucking line, because the matter was not an on-field issue. Then where the fuck were they standing? Mars?
I think the wording that they mean to have here is that it wasn't an in-game issue, meaning
Well,
it
it's
wasn't an
not
issue that
how this
affected the
was worded.
gameplay.
So either the writer of this article is a moron, or somebody's full of shit here.
No,
or
they're
both.
trying to use technical words that mean something else, is all. It's poor wording, is what it is.
That timeline took the decision past the election, which Trump won. Well, thank you for at least acknowledging that. What were you going to say before my rant?
Well, I was just gonna say that, okay, the real reason that it took them a little bit of time to sort out finding him for it is not because it was an off field issue, whatever. That's not fucking why. The fucking reason why is because it took a bunch of fucking pissed off, triggered leftist fans who were watching the broadcast to call into the NFL and bitch and moan and scream and cry on their telephone lines. And then the people who were receiving these bitching and moaning calls to forward this information to their superiors, and their superiors to contact their superiors, and somebody up at the top to go, oh, okay, we got a bunch of complaining calls about the hat being worn during the broadcast. Okay, I guess we'll have to fine him. And then they had a discussion, a boardroom meeting, or whatever the fuck they normally have about this. And then they were like, okay, yeah, let's fine him. We'll see how that goes, you know, and we'll test the waters on this and see if we can get away with punishing Nick for this. That's what happened. It wasn't because it was off field. I've seen off field shit fines get put out immediately. So I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Off field shit has gotten people fined and punished immediately.
You can put me in the camp of firmly believing that they waited till after the election to decide what they were going to do, because if Harris had won, they probably wouldn't have just fined him.
Well, yeah, they might not have bothered with it at all. I mean, maybe they wouldn't have cared at all if Harris had won.
I'm of the mind that if Harris had won, they might have suspended him.
Well, I'm just saying that whatever the case, whatever their intentions were here, I'm just saying the reason that they didn't do it right away. The reason they didn't do it right away is because they weren't going to do it at all. Okay. They weren't going to do anything about it at all until they got a bunch of fucking bitching and complaining phone calls and calls to fine him and punish him for this from, viewers. That's why they waited.
Well, now I ask this question. Was it worth it, NFL, to wait to fine a Trump supporter for being a Trump supporter, which is now leading to NFL fans who support Trump walking away from supporting you? Was it worth it?
Well, all I can say about it is that for anyone who didn't already know, the NFL is run by leftists and are exactly as unfair as any other leftist. That's not news. If anybody was unaware of that, I feel sorry for that person, but the NFL has been a hard leftist organization for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
And they have not appreciated any conservative rhetoric or imagery or supporters or anything or comments from anyone for at least 20 years. So again, this isn't new. It's just one more example of, the witless oppression that leftists like doing to conservatives, but then they pretend like they're the oppressed ones.
Yeah. But other than that, not much has happened recently, bro.
Yeah, no, biggest story of the year, probably, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm being an asshole.
Yeah, I know. Sarcastic.
Donald Trump isn't just the most recent guy who beat the hell out of a woman.
Well, he's done it twice now, so
That's true.
2-0 on this one.
No woman can stand against Donald Trump.
But
But jokes aside, Donald Trump wins the election 312 to 226. And as we look at the electoral map, state I was born in, Vermont, 64% to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Not surprised at all because they're a bunch of brain dead morons.
Yeah, a bunch of states we used to be and are no longer there are the blue ones, and the state we are in now is the red one.
Remember when Jay
No coincidence, folks.
Remember when Jay Leno hosted the Tonight Show and he had someone in Vermont asking them questions about the federal government? And nobody knew the correct answer at all in Vermont? Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vermont voters are a dense bunch.
There you go. And obviously, state that you were born in Desert North, 54% to Kamala Harris.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, the three big states that our family basically lived in most of our lives are all blue, and that's why we're not there.
Yeah. However, Minnesota was a lot closer than anyone thought.
Yeah. Well, it was close in 2016, and what do you know? It's close again.
And it was even closer now.
Yeah. Well, it was roughly similar.
Yeah, but obviously Minnesota went blue because of Minneapolis and St. Paul like usual, but there were more Trump votes than usual in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then
Minnesota wasn't supposed to be in play, and it almost was.
Yeah. However,
Virginia too. Virginia wasn't supposed to be in play, and it almost was also.
Yeah, well, it was in play for like most of the night.
Yeah.
Just like Minnesota. But of the swing states, as they're called, Trump took every single fucking one of them.
Yeah, he took all 7, which was something that not too. I mean, people said it was either going to be one way or the other. A lot of people were talking about there was a tiny margin between all 7 going one way and all 7 going the other way.
So let's look at those. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump took Georgia 50.7% to 48.5%. South Carolina, and I consider both of these swings.
Well, South Carolina is not a swing state. North Carolina was.
Well, it's not highlighted as such.
No, I'm saying North Carolina was. South Carolina was not. South Carolina was going to go no matter what.
Well, Trump took it with 51, which is a larger gap than Georgia.
Yeah. Then there's Pennsylvania.
At 50.4, which was about the same as Georgia.
And Michigan and Wisconsin.
At 49, which was even closer.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, even closer still. 0.1% difference. Or, sorry, 1.1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Then there's Arizona and Nevada.
And then Nevada, 47, and then Arizona, 52%.
Yeah.
The Latinos came out for Trump.
Which I had been saying, interpersonally with you guys that Trump was +4 in Arizona going into this. And what do you know? He's +4 as the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Listen to Desert North when it comes to elections, folks. You're better than most polls.
There was so much clowning going on. There were people like Harry Sisson and others on Twitter telling themselves that, Texas and Florida are in play, everybody. And they even were telling Iowa was in play. These ended up being 12 and 13-point victories for Trump.
Not only were they that wrong, Minnesota and Virginia wound up being in play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For the other side.
Yeah. There was a lot of surprises, but a lot of basically this was like 2016 all over again. It really was. Yeah. Electorally speaking, it really was. And the House was retained by Republicans, and the Senate was won by Republicans. So you have all three. You have the House, the Senate, and the presidency going to be in the hands of Republicans as of January.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
no.
what we
As far as
close
Arizona
to
goes, the
here.
surprise for me was that Maricopa ended up being a Trump win.
Yeah,
I did not expect.
As you see on the screen, 51 to 47
Yeah,
for the county that we're in.
yeah. The 4% lead withstood even in Maricopa, which I didn't think Maricopa would end up being a red county, but it
And
is.
for the Fallout New Vegas fans, there's the
Mojave
Mojave
County.
County,
Yeah, Mojave County is the red county. It always will be. It's sort of like the reddest county.
77%.
Um,
But as I said, bro, for the Fallout New Vegas fans, which is us, Mojave County.
yeah, but the county that whole game takes place in is Clark, though, in Nevada. But anyway,
But they call it the Mojave Wasteland, so I'm just saying.
no, I know it's because of the desert there, the north side there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, no, it was a really I don't know, to call it surprising result wouldn't be true because a lot of people had seen what happened coming. A lot of people had felt the energy and felt that the landslide that this ended up being.
I have questions about the shapes of the counties in Arizona. Was somebody drunk when they drew
No,
the map?
it's it's all very, regional stuff.
Oh, 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 okay. So it's tequila then.
No, it's federal government population interference mostly because those northern ones
Oh,
are the
okay.
shape they are because of native divisions and reservations and such.
Oh,
Um,
oh, okay. So they were just smoking the peace pipe
but
a little too much.
the counties of Arizona, as you can see, there's only three there. I believe it's three or four, maybe it's four. Um,
But also in
that
other
ended up
election
blue.
details, Kerry Lake gets fucked out of another election.
Yeah, people were really starting to question that one because somehow you ended up with the Senate, the senator for the Democrats getting more votes than the president for the Democrats. People are
Yeah,
wondering how that happened.
yeah, and
Um,
I'm one of them.
and not to mention that, but 200,000 Trump supporters voted against Kerry Lake.
Right.
Um,
No.
Odd, a bit odd.
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally know anyone who voted for Trump but then didn't vote for Kerry Lake, but I'm told that they
Senator.
exist.
That's what we're being told, which is also
Yeah,
misinformation.
I
Then.
just have doubts, heavy doubts about the Senate race. The Senate races nationwide were actually pretty screwy, especially Wisconsin. Wisconsin is another one where the Senate race it looked like an okey doke. It looked just like 2020. With the steel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and also in other news, Trump also talked about if you are discovered rigging elections or engaging in election interference or voting more than once, you're going to get arrested for it. So, don't rig the elections. Yes, I said it, Google.
Yeah, that we still have in this country, we still have a ton of problems with voter fraud, illegal votes,
Yeah.
vote rules, ballot techniques, counting methods. The whole thing is still a gigantic fucking mess that needs a massive overhaul.
And I will finish this segment with saying this. The only thing that would make me happy right now as an Arizonian or as an Arizona citizen or as an Arizonian, whichever you feel like calling me today, the thought of Ruben Gallego going to prison for engaging in election fraud, interference, rigging, whatever you want to call it. Bro?
Well, it wouldn't be him personally. It'd be the apparatchiks. It'd be the people at the ballot counting level, at the city and state level that are, like Stephen Richer, for instance.
Because also,
Stephen Richer's not a Democrat, mind you, but he might as well be with the way he's been running this shit. It
and
took forever, and it's still not 100%. Many of the states, as we speak right now, and this is, what are we on, the 17th of November? There's still states and counties that have not finished counting, even now. And I'm like, what is this about? What is the deal with this? And there are counties in Arizona that are like that right now. They have not finished counting.
Yes,
and it's crazy.
And the last thing I'll say for the election segment of this episode, Breaking Rocks, do not ever forget the 2020 midterms.
Yeah.
And the rigging of that election.
You mean the 2022? The 2022 midterms, you mean?
Right.
Yeah. The 2020 was the general.
Well, fuck if I care. I stayed home for that too.
2020 and 2022 in this particular state we're in, were extremely sus.
Yeah, I was watching the whole time, and I assure you, I am voting for whoever's running against Hobgoblin governor that we have now, Katie Hobbs.
The first problem that Arizona Republicans have, the first problem is that the Arizona state Republican leadership are a bunch of McCain types.
Yeah.
That's the first problem that we have in this state. And the second problem we have in this state is that the election officials who run elections in the state are completely Looney Tunes. Like, they don't know how to run an election worth of shit.
Somehow,
and
I think
when I say don't know how, I mean
better at it.
They don't know how to run one that doesn't look stupid.
Why do I feel like Bugs Bunny would be better at it?
It's cartoonishly bad in this state how we do our elections. And I feel like a group of fifth graders could do a better job than these people.
So, the last segment is not one that I ever expected to do for Breaking Rocks here, but here we are. So, Drew Underground, the channel you're watching right now, is currently at 263 subscribers. And that's now 2 more than the channel that I started way back in 2014, Drew Games. So thank you to all of you guys who have been subbing to both channels. Both are now over the 260 subscriber mark. I love you guys very much. Bro?
Yeah, that's good to see.
I don't know what more to say other than thank you. I love you guys. But there's still room to grow. So let's do it together. Not as underdogs, but as the rebels in the underground. Bro?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look. We're live.
Of course.
So, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything?
Yeah, the only other thing I would mention is that in the subsequent days since the election, which thank God it was decided on election night, in the subsequent days since then, we've witnessed a whole parade of essentially Donald Trump selecting his cabinet, which have caused a whole bunch of heartburn for the lefties. I personally think that whole situation with him selecting his cabinet, selecting his positional people, I think is going to be the most important thing probably of the entire term. Who he puts alongside him and who he has running things and who the team he's able to assemble
Well,
is going to be everything.
Some are calling the people that he's putting together with him and his cabinet and whatever else in his administration the Avengers.
No, I know, but that was actually kind of the campaign more than the actual cabinet. See, but what I was going to say though about it is that they have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, but I would
Quite
rather,
a task ahead here.
considering what the Avengers turned into, I would rather call them the Justice League, personally.
Yeah, I mean, and I do very much like most of the direction of it. Not everything, not every position that he's come up with so far, every person he's decided to go with so far, I've loved. There's been some here, some there, some really good ones, some like whatevers. Some I'm just like meh about, don't really care, don't know the person particularly, but I do hope that Trump's able to get sort of his finger back on the pulse of what people who support him want. Because I remember last term he was in office where there was a couple of moments where his finger was not on the pulse of his base. Like with the bump stock ban moment. I mean, that was a moment where his finger really was not on the pulse of the people who support him. And that's the one thing I hope he does through this term. I hope he keeps a good sense of what his supporters are expecting from him and do his very best to not screw the pooch on having assholes around him and his ears turned off to criticism from his own supporters. Because he needs to hear that and he needs to listen.
Yes, so we don't want to see mistakes like this again.
Well, it's not my concern.
Yeah. Yeah, mistakes like him, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or Jared Kushner, for instance. Yeah, we don't want to see mistakes. Or like appointing Jeff Sessions or appointing, half of the guys that ended up being problematic.
But the people that Trump has been appointing, like Bobby Kennedy Jr. to head the
HHS.
health, HHS. Tulsi Gabbard being in charge of intelligence, right?
Yeah, the National Intelligence Director. Yep.
Yeah, and then Vivek and Elon doing their government.
DOGE. Yeah, the Department of Governmental Efficiency. Yep.
Yeah. Those decisions, more or less, are kind of like this. We're close to it at this point, I suppose.
Do not come.
I'm going to come.
Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. That meme right there actually sums up this election in general.
But the one appointment that had me personally, because he was the last person I ever fucking voted for before 2024 here, being appointed, and that was Ron Paul.
Sure, yeah, no, I do like the level that Elon sort of invited Ron Paul into the conversation and invited him sort of in as kind of an advisor. I personally think Ron Paul's going to end up being an advisor to the DOGE department. So
so the fact that Ron Paul's involved has me going,
Damn!
Right?
Ron being involved in government waste cutting is like a dream come true.
It's perfect for him.
The one thing I do want Trump to consider Ron Paul for is I would like Donald Trump to consider Ron Paul for dealing with the Federal Reserve. Because nobody in this country has a better ideology about what to do about the Federal Reserve than Ron Paul.
What was the name of that organization?
Well, I said the Federal Reserve.
Well, it's not my concern.
Haha. Well, they're a big concern for me because you got Jerome Powell talking about how he's going to refuse to go from the position when Trump takes office. He's not going to accept resignation from the position. And Donald Trump's going to have a situation where he's going to have to figure out what to do with Jerome Powell because he's not going quietly.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a choice.
And he's going to have a few of those people in these departments, especially the FBI I mean, the idea of putting guys in positions that are on his side of things, they are going to have a hell of a time with these essentially protest guys that do not want to leave their positions. They want to stay no matter what. Hell no, we won't go type of attitude about it. He's going to have to clean house, and it's going to be painful, and it's going to be a lot of work, but he's got to clean these agencies. He might even have to do away with some departments, honestly. And I hope he does, because, obviously our government is wasting a lot of money and a lot of time and actually being counterproductive in a lot of categories. So that's the one thing I'm hopeful for.
Well, either way, Tulsi Gabbard, in charge of the intelligence of the United States. Well, there's only one thing for it, because we know she was a U.S. Marine. She's tough, and she knows what the hell she's doing, right?
Yes, I consider it to be a positive appointment. Everybody in the John Bolton wing of the Republican Party was screaming their heads off. Oh my God, this is the worst of all time.
Whatever.
And I was just like, no, it's not.
Meanwhile, here in the underground, when that announcement came, here in the underground, it was more like,
Taki? Eve, are you alright? This place is dangerous. Take my hand.
right?
Sure. My point about it though is that there is a whole bunch of warmongers, left, right, and center, and the establishment that are scared out of their minds because Tulsi Gabbard doesn't want war with Russia, but they do. And they want the Ukraine war to escalate, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They would like to face Russia in a hot war. I consider people who want us to face Russia in a hot war to be insane. Because that only ends one way. And that ends with the decimation of both nations.
Yep.
I do not want people who are Russophobic anywhere near the buttons. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So Tulsi being appointed, yeah, that pisses off the establishment goons, but those guys want to destroy the country. So I'm not really keen on their fucking opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that she freaks them out is good to me. That is a positive to me.
Yeah, the warmongers just leave me just anytime I hear what they have to say, I'm just left feeling a certain way, and that's this.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Yeah.
So on that note, thank you guys for checking this out. For those of you that will see this on Rumble, thank you for doing so. Rumble channel is over 10 followers now, so thank you guys so much for that. And I will see you next Saturday for the reaction to Mises' America First, which I've been pushing back day after day. I was supposed to do it yesterday at first, and then Tom McDonald's video came out, and I was too tired to do this yesterday, so I pushed this back and wound up pushing that back from today initially to next weekend, so next Saturday. So, which means that no breaking rocks next Saturday. So, because I got to do that reaction that I've been planning to do for like, by the time I do it, like 2.5 weeks since I initially scheduled it. So, bro, anything you're doing on your channel?
Nothing that I have planned.
Do you ever plan anything?
Yeah, it ain't my style to make, plan stuff.
Yeah, lately it hasn't been.
I just been, like I just moved in my new place 2 weeks ago, so
Yes,
I'm just
I'm aware.
chilling at the moment.
Well, you better get out of the freezer then.
You know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
I mean, and to be honest with you, my channel is sort of just a side hobby. It's not something like it's not my main motivation. It's not my primary focus. It's not what draws my attention on even on the daily. I mean, hell, if I look at my channel once a week, it'd be even if that. It's not like. I mean, I'm glad to have it, and I'm proud of what I have done with it, but it's
Yeah,
not.
well,
I'm not
this
putting a
is
lot of effort, honestly, into it right now.
this is also a hobby for me too, because as I said, I'm never going to monetize anything I'm doing on YouTube because fuck Google, fuck the other algorithm, because my freedom of speech is not for sale. So, as one shirt and a song from Tom McDonald, and he did a video for it finally, thankfully, freedom's not for sale. So, with that in mind, thank you guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, share this out, and go subscribe to Desert Nord. He's on that side of the screen. I'd appreciate that, as I'm sure he would, but he probably won't notice.
Yeah, no. If people would, hit me up on X too, it's the same deal.
Yeah, that's Desert Nord 26 on X, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And my handle is right down here. That's my Twitter handle at @_Drew over on X.
I use the Nord Shield logo everywhere I go, so that's what the people should look for.
And I did change my Twitter thing back to this very logo right here. So, on that note, thank you guys for watching. Go hit us up over there. You can hit us up on Xbox Live, Drew Games, and Desert Nord 26 to maybe play Among Us at some point. Fuck if I know.
Yeah, that would be all right.
With that in mind, I'm Drew.
We love our home, and if you don't, pack your bags, you're free to go. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord speaker. Wave goodbye to Joe.
And he is Desert Nord.
Well, it's not my concern.
Because I don't have a video for you, so.
Yeah, I know.
We'll see you guys next time. Well, I'll see you guys Saturday for the Mises reaction. But he'll see you whenever we do this again.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if we don't do this before Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving, and then we'll see you after Thanksgiving then, more than likely.
Yeah, probably.
So, bye everyone, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I will never say I'm sorry, I ain't taking nothing back. I don't care if I offend you. I was put here